Hey everyone, I hope you're well. This is week two, my week two update, and really I just want to sort of play this a bit off the cuff. Really, I've got a few different points. I'm going to try to flip between my screen and what I've thought about and some notes, just to try to articulate as best as I can my reflections for this week, any practical things which I believe has sort of helped me, and then just general sort of key sort of little bit of some stories, I guess, as to some what's happened this week. So anyway, week number two has been very interesting and a stark difference to the first week. I'll be honest with you, when I finished the first week, I had pretty much thought that this week was just going to be a walk in the park and like it's just all going to be plain sailing from here on in. But guess what? The universe had other ideas, which is fine because that's perfect. That's realistic, right? And it just taught me how unrealistic my expectations were. So actually, what happened this week had to happen to bring me back into balance. As much as it pains me to know that and say that, I think that's just what it is. Because I had quite a number of spikes this week, and I can't really put my finger on them as to what may have triggered it. I mean, I might have an idea, but it's not as black and white as that. So anyway, let me just jump into it. This week, I went to see Harley Street Hearing, where I got my sound generators back because I'd given them back because one of the versions that they gave me had Bluetooth. They were only Bluetooth enabled. So in order to mess with the sounds and the settings and the masking of tinnitus, I had to enable the Bluetooth function. And I was a bit skeptical about having Bluetooth on my ears sat there all day long connected to my phone. I was a bit like, if I'm trying to eliminate or reduce the amount of electrical devices around me, then surely this is a rubbish idea. So I asked for ones which are specifically non-Bluetooth, and I went to pick them up today. So for 2-3 weeks I was without sound generators, but truth be told, I actually stopped wearing them for like sort of 6 weeks because I felt like I wanted to rely on myself and not be dependent on anything else. I mean, they are useful and there's a time and place for them, I think. But I was just experimenting really. I was at the time coming off all medications. So I thought, let me come off this too. But anyway, I went to pick them up and the last couple of days I've been wearing them. I've taken them off now because they're sort of like, my ear feels quite congested like when I wear them, especially if like all day. So like, more than like 12 hours. So I had to take them off. But I went to pick them up today. And I sat with my audiologist, who I've sort of started to get to know a bit better. Her name is Lulu Mohammed. So Lulu, if you're watching this, hello, and thank you for everything that you do, and really appreciate that. I had an interesting conversation with her. She was sort of asked me, how was your week? And I kind of like had an emotional moment with her. I sort of felt a bit teary and I sort of just cried a little bit. And the reason is because most times I've seen her, I have gone in there and sort of just felt nothing but improvement and optimism each time I've gone. And I thought there'll be a time where I see her, and there will be, but maybe it's just not just now. I thought the next time I see her, I'll be saying to her, I don't need your sound generators because it's gone. And I was there wanting to take them home because it hadn't gone. And in that moment, it just dawned on me how fickle I was to believe the story of where this was going. And it's fine, I mean, I just allowed myself to sort of be emotional and just let it out. But as I sort of started to become emotional, as some of the tears started to appear, I quickly just stopped and I asked myself, I'm being emotional here, I'm being one-sided about this, where is the equal and opposite emotion in this very moment right now? So if I'm feeling sad, why is this a moment to feel happy also? Because I don't want to continue just to see one side of everything, because that's probably what co-created for me even being in this space to begin with. So why do I want to continue that? I've learned some techniques and some questions to ask myself where in emotional situations, how to decharge an emotional situation. So I was there, I was sort of crying, and I wanted to quickly put into practice what I had learned, because I didn't want to go down that road. I don't want to live by stories. I want to live by reality. So in that moment, I was like, well, where is the support in this room? If I don't feel like I'm supported or I feel sad, where's the happiness in this room? Where is the support? And I just sort of scanned the room with my peripheral vision, and Lulu was there, just quietly, just in her own way, giving her supportive energy to me as she was consoling me. As I was being teary, I was like, well, if I'm being teary, she's supporting me, and that brings me back to balance. Like, this is a perfect moment. And as I was sort of crying, I just realized I just put the sound generators in my ear, and they were helping me. And then I was so I was a bit like, well, why am I crying if I've got things and people helping me? Like, I can understand, but I don't want to follow that story. So in that moment, I was like, okay, everything's perfect, everything's fine. I'm here. Everything that needs to be is happening right now. So that was an interesting story, an interesting experience. And we got talking about the course I'm doing with Liam and the advice I'm following, and have I seen any correlation? I guess it's too early to start seeing trends and correlations, right? I didn't think it was, but maybe I'm just reassessing that, right? This is sort of week 2, and this is my insight. And she mentioned something to me which made me think, and few people have mentioned this to me this week, and this is the theme of the week. The theme of the week is, let the solution chase me now. I'll say it again. Let the solution chase me, or chase you. Now, I don't know about anyone else, how long people have been in this space and researching online and how you spend your time, but I have certainly noticed with me, over the last 3 months or 2 months more specifically, I would say when I'm on my phone, I spend a good majority of the time looking at either Liam's posts or other people's posts about anything got to do with Liam's or tinnitus advice, like dieting, sleep, nutrition, fasting, water fasting, dry fasting, supplements. Like, I will try to research it and find out, and and again, this is not to put a label on myself to make it mean something negative or positive. It just is what it is, because I'm following my highest priority right now, which is to solve tinnitus. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not now putting a label on myself that I'm searching, so therefore that's bad, or I'm overdoing this, because it's appropriate for where I am. It's appropriate, but I'm just becoming more aware of the fact that I'm doing this, and I'm actually asking myself, am I chasing the solution, or do I want the solution to chase me? And what does that even mean? The solution to chase me. What does that even mean? But Lulu mentioned it, and a couple of other people mentioned it to me this week around, am I creating more stress by conversing more about, keto and fasting and this supplement and that protocol and this lifestyle? And, I've been speaking to a few of you privately on the DMs, and some of the conversations, can get quite specific very fast. Like what specific supplement is it that you take? Or what specifically are you eating? And I don't know, but it's starting to feel a bit heavy, this approach. It's starting to become very heavy. And I know, you got to put in the work, right? If you want something, you got to show up, you got to sort of make strides. But personally, I think I'm probably having a physiological response to living a certain lifestyle, and it's probably causing me more stress. I maybe think. So I'm gonna try to figure out if there's a way of just coming off the accelerator a bit and seeing if this idea of the solution chasing me is real and can it work. And actually, not even can it work, just let me just stop chasing the solution now. What would happen if I were just to eat as I normally used to eat, move like I normally, because it wasn't like terrible. Like, it wasn't terrible. I've been vegetarian my whole life. There's billions and billions of people who are vegetarians, who get stressed, get sick, get ill, get whatever, right? I'm not about to banish my vegetarianism, and no one's telling me to do that, by the way. But there is very subtle messaging around becoming carnivore, and I understand it's not the be all and end all, like Liam and everyone makes it very clear. But at the same token, it's very unclear because there's very strong subliminal messaging and subconscious messaging around being carnivore, and it doesn't add up for me. It doesn't add up. And I refuse to believe that that's gonna be the cure. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. My intuition is saying no. My intuition is saying no. And I'm gonna go with my intuition, right? And I think that's what he wants everyone to do. So let me just clarify that. I don't think Liam is there saying, you must do this, because that would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. He's just trying to be a valuable influence on everyone's life, to guide all of us to become closer to our intuition. And I've sort of starting to dawn on this reality a little bit this week. So what does that mean? That means something different for me to you. And I know that's not probably what people want to hear, and it sounds a bit wishy-washy, but it means of all of the different things that are advocated, it's like, how much of that do you want to take for yourself and make it mean something specifically for you, and see what happens with it and experiment with it. It could be as unique as your DNA or your thumbprint. How much you fast, how many hours you fast could be, the difference in hours you fast to I fast could be different. How much water you drink and I drink could be different. How much food you eat and I eat could be different. How much sugar you eat, it could all be different. How much sunlight, how much tap water, normal water, we physically are so different, all of us. We cannot be following the same advice to the same degree. And it's just dawning on me that I need to make this more unique to myself, more bespoke to myself, in a way I can consistently just be with, not trying to do. If I'm trying to do something, then I feel like I'm losing from the beginning. And I understand, again, look, you have to have been through different journeys to know there's an early sticking out phase, and you have to get through that. I understand that, but my intuition is guiding me to say no, just stop overly searching, overly doing, consciously eating, consciously walking, with the idea that I'm trying to remove tinnitus. And why can't I just live and then see what happens. If the tinnitus disappears, then it disappears, and if it doesn't disappear, then what can I do? I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for this, so it's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's no one's fault. So yeah, it was just a thought I had when I went to Harley Street hearing this week. So that's something that happened this week. There's an interesting saying by Winston Churchill. I'm going to totally butcher this, so sorry. But it's something like, and again, he uses a word, hell, and I don't mean to mean it the way he literally, but let's just rephrase it. He says if you're going through, let's just call it, if you're going through something, then just keep going, because that's the fastest way through and out, right? And it got me thinking about that, and I was thinking, what's the silver bullet for overcoming tinnitus? What's the silver bullet? And there is a silver bullet, and I believe there's a silver bullet for everything, but it's just not what we want to hear. So it's not this pill, this medication, this practice. Potentially the silver bullet is consistency in whatever it is that you choose to do. Consistency, because if I start following, dry fast twice a week, every week, then if I can consistently do that, then that's the silver bullet. But it's not dry fast 1 week, like couple of days, and then another time totally buckle, and then get back on it, and then come off it, and then change and switch that supplement, and next week that supplement, and it's just like there's no consistency through anything. So there is no silver bullet. Like the silver bullet is just being turned around and shot back at me in all those instances, and I kind of feel that's what happened this week. So yeah, I don't know if there's something in that, right? And then an update. What else happened this week? Yeah, I cracked this week. So I had a instance on Sunday where I had a event to go to, and everyone was eating sort of fried goods and sweet stuff, and I was a bit like, you know what? I'm just gonna have it. Like, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? Like, everyone else is here. I'm here. Just gonna eat what my heart wants to, and without looking over my shoulder. We look so much as it is with noise. Whether we want to or not, we just sometimes find ourselves just searching for the noise, looking for the noise. And I don't want to look for the food now also. It's like, it becomes a bit heavy, right? So I just ate whatever the hell I wanted to eat on Sunday. And then Monday, it was fairly, again, like a whistling noise, probably about a 2 out of 10. It was sort of okay. I didn't feel anything. And then Monday night, bang, mad spike. I was like, fuck is this? Like, what? Like, this was not on the cards, and it lasted Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was like, what the hell? They've never had a spike this long, this loud. I was like, and even on Tuesday, Wednesday, I was a bit like eating a bit emotionally. So I was having, some biscuits and some ice cream in the evening when in prior weeks I wouldn't have it. And I would say this, right? There's something to offer this week. I don't know the direct link between sort of sugar and tinnitus, but one thing I can say, because I've had sugar before and I had no spikes at all. And I don't know if this is just like a delay of 24 hours and all this stuff, right? But like, I don't buy that as well, man. Like, I can't, like, nah, like, I understand, like, sugar is not actually needed by the human body, but it makes me feel relaxed. It makes me feel calm sometimes. So there is a purpose to it. There's a purpose for everything. We make meaning out of everything. Like, I don't understand how people say there's no purpose for certain foods to eat, because there's a purpose for everything. Like, everything has a purpose. Like, how can it not? As long as humans exist, we create meaning. And as long as we create meaning, there's purpose for everything. So whether it's conducive to tinnitus, no one will know. Like, no one will really, really know. There must be people out there who have eaten whatever the hell they wanted and it just gone. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine just now, and he said that, I never knew this, he said a couple of years ago he developed tinnitus when he was changing business, taking over a business. He was stressed and he had it for 2-3 weeks or something, and he decided not to research it to find out what it is, but go no further. No medical appointments, no checkups, no diet changes. He just basically got on with life, and it just went in and out past his system. He never had it again. And I was just thinking, like, with this whole sugar and this and that, I was just like, maybe there's some merit in even that approach of just carry on, try to let go of stressful situations, or actually reframe stressful situations and really audit them and ask, is it stressful, or am I just making this mean something stressful? What am I missing in this stressful environment that's not actually stressful? What am I missing in this piece, right? So yeah, that was just something I sort of so I broke this week a couple of times with sweet food, I would say. This is the point. So one thing I would say is, since dramatically reducing the amount of sweet food I've been having, from an overall mood perspective and sleep perspective, has been of value, I would say. So my mood has improved and sleep has improved when I've generally been on a significantly reduced sugar base. The times where I had it, I started to notice my mood bounce a lot, thoughts become faster, and probably because of good 2-3 weeks of like almost 99% like abstaining from sweet stuff, to having it, I noticed that difference straight away. I noticed the bloatedness come back straight away. I noticed water retention come in straight away. And that was super interesting in itself. I don't know if any of that's linked to tinnitus, but from a physiological point of view, I would say there's some interesting links between sugar and mood and water and sleep. And so I'm sort of this mindset of I'll allow myself to have it, but there'll probably be days where I just probably naturally ask myself, well, if I know the implications of having it, why would I want to feel like that? Why would I want to feel more moody and more ebbs and flows? I would like to be more like consistent. Just makes sense. But I understand if I feel like I want to have something sweet, then I probably will end up having it. I'm not going to turn it into a bad thing or a good thing. It's just going to be what it's going to be, and that's it. So that was an interesting. I want to come back to this topic of spikes again, because it's like, I'm interested to know what people make the meaning of the spike. What are we making it mean? When you get a spike, what does it mean? What are we making that spike mean for us and ourselves? What's the story behind the spike? And I got thinking about this because it triggered me. I was just like, I don't even think I can articulate what it means for me, but let me try. It's like, if I get a spike, all of a sudden I feel like I'm under attack. That's how I make it mean. Yeah, that's right. That's the meaning that's the meaning I've created. I feel like I'm under attack and I can't defend myself. And I don't know what to do, but just feel like I'm attacked. And do you see, that's a one-sided emotion I've just created. So I feel like I'm sort of putting myself down in relation to something that's like up. And I suppose in that scenario, what I've been coached to sort of work through is ask myself the question, what's the opposite of the word attack? Defend. So you could say, in that moment, because everything in the universe is perfect and the law of duality exists everywhere without fail, when I get a spike, do I feel like I'm being defended also to the equal degree as the attack? In which case, that moment is a perfect moment, and I can stop thinking about it and put it in my heart and see the spike in my heart and take it there and take it out of here. And I'm saying this, but it is tricky to do, right? We're not being taught this. This is not, we regularly listen to this, we not regularly practice this. Therefore, it's something which feels like it's far away. But I'm sharing this, as I said, on my profile for my benefit, because as I'm talking, I'm listening to myself, and I'm sharing this for the love of just sharing. Like I feel like it's my duty, and I want it to be my duty, and it is my duty, and I get to share. So coming back to what does spikes mean for us? For me, it means, I'm under attack. And then I ask myself, where am I being defended in this very situation? And I might look in my environment and be like, well, my kids are here, my wife is here. I'm not under any sort of physical strain. I can walk, I can talk, I can eat, I can whatever, I can move. There's an online community, there's support, there's strategies around food. So it doesn't have to mean that. Like at the same time that comes, and I can also ask myself then more specifically, how is the spike defending me as opposed to anything else defending me? So you go more specific to the same trigger that you believe is attacking you. How is that same thing defending you? And you could say, well, it's giving me a warning to audit what I have done in moments prior or days prior that has led to that spike. It's forcing me to audit my day, my lifestyle, my food, right? And that's a form of defense and a form of feedback to be like, what could I change now? What is gifting me a message almost? The sound is a message to say, bro, should we do something different? Because this ain't working out for me. What we just did is not working out for me. Maybe, right? And sort of the last bit on that point was, as I was saying, I qualified as a mindfulness practitioner last year, and there's this idea of mindfulness, and even, but I think it basically, mindfulness in pretty much just means becoming aware of what's happening. So even when you're aware of a spike, that can be a very mindful activity. So when people say, oh, you might need to meditate or calm down, it's like, maybe tinnitus is like a really high form of mindfulness, because you become mindful of how your senses, you become, typically it's like mindful of your breathing and how your body feels heavy, or where your sensations are like touching. But when people with tinnitus, it's like are very mindful people. So actually you see that you could reframe it in such a sort of upsided way to balance out how you perceive tinnitus. So, congratulations, we're all mindfulness experts because we all got tinnitus. Like, we all mindful of the noise, how it makes us feel, where it's coming from, how food is impacting us. Like, it's like a very deep journey that you sort of end up being a part of. And mindfulness of thought is interesting. It's like, it's what you do with it, I think, after, which is also quite helpful, because you can be mindful of a thought popping up in your mind that I've got a spike, and then you've got two choices. We either attach to that, which I have done and I probably will do. You're attached to the thought, you get attached to the meaning, and sometimes it can derail your day, your mood, right? Because you're walking around with a one-sided perception of what's going on, and until you address it, it will still stay there in your subconscious until you go back and fix it and balance it out. So you can be attached to it in that sense, or detached to it. Detached to it by not even making the judgment to start with, and just witnessing it and making no judgment, just sitting there making no judgment. And I think that comes back to my first point around letting the solution come to you. It's like, why be attached to all these different solutions if maybe if we detach from the solutions and just witness what's going on, maybe we'll witness it move on also, by just not engaging at all. It's like a tiger in a cage. Like, if you get in the cage and you start engaging, you'll probably get its tail up and its back up. But if you just don't get in the cage, yes, it will roar and scream, but maybe after a while it will be like, I'm just bored of this now. There's no one stroking me, there's no one prodding me, so I'm just gonna leave. Like, there's no need for this fight or this duel. Leave it. Maybe there's merit in that thought process. I don't know. I'm just sharing with you what I was reflecting on and what I had written down. So yeah, tinnitus is almost like the gift this week. The gift that gave me this thought, this other way of seeing things. It came as a gift. Maybe it's come as a gift in all of our lives, as a way of stopping listening to other people and start listening to ourselves. Maybe that's what the sound is doing. Maybe the sound is here to stop us listening to external and start moving internally. Maybe that's what we need for where we are in our lives right now, in whichever way it's come about. If it's come about through a stressful environment where you don't want to be a part of a situation, then maybe the sound is helping us block out the external, which we subconsciously needed an excuse to do, and this is now given us the excuse to be able to then do what we need to do and listen to ourselves. And what does it mean, listen to ourselves? You could be sat there saying, I don't want to listen to myself, I just don't want to listen to fucking nothing. Yeah, and I'm here, I get that point, right? I kind of make that point myself, but guess what? That is not the situation. So there's no point thinking about that. There's only point thinking about what you can do with it and what we can do with it. So maybe it's come as a gift. Maybe we can reframe it as it's come as a gift. And there was something I picked up, went to a spiritual lecture today, and a lady said something very interesting. She said, the sense of hearing destroys illusions. So coming back to my previous point, she was saying, maybe this other sound has come for us to be able to destroy all other illusions that was going on in our lives previous to this moment. Maybe we were living in a world of fantasy and illusion, and it took for this sound to come in for us to audit parts of our life to break all the illusions of what we thought was positive or what we thought was valuable for us, and forcing us to ask the question, is it valuable for you? Do you find value in it really? So something to think about. And the last few points I'll leave you with is around, so I've shared some of my challenges this week and emotions. I've shared some of sort of my other reflections. I'll leave you with a sort of quick fire list of things that on a practical level I think has been useful this week. So one, I bought a new pillow. It's actually online. If you Instagram it, I think it's called the neck pillow. I'll try to link it if I can. The neck pillow. It is a really interesting pillow. It's like it allows your spine to be perfectly still, to stop the creaking in the back and the bad posture and all that kind of stuff while sleeping, which is super important. So my wife bought that pillow for us, and I noticed a dramatic improvement in sleep for sure, as well as a simple eye mask. I never used to wear eye masks. I never used to believe in them. I never used to really pay attention to them. I was just like, this is uncomfortable, ridiculous. I'm not wearing one. And then I started wearing, I had two, one heavy one someone bought for me, like beaded one to put pressure on your eyes, which just felt really annoying. And then there was like a really cheapy £1 one, like silk, very thin. And that actually, I started getting like deep, vivid dreams. Yeah, it was interesting. Some nights it's hit and miss, but on the whole, I'd say if you're on the fence about it, I think give it a go. No harm, right? Buy a cheap one. Don't need to go expensive to start with. Buy a cheap one, a light one. If you like it, then keep going down that. Otherwise, you haven't lost anything. They're cheap. Massages, sauna, steam room, jacuzzi to rest the body, just relax the body, put it in a state which you can actually potentially just move this out of our space by itself, right? I think that's been super useful. I've really valued sauna, steam room sessions and jacuzzi sessions. I sometimes go to the gym just for that, because I go there knowing I'm doing something which is going to relax my body. If I relax my body, then that's a state you would probably choose to be in rather than be tense, right? So that's been something really useful to do. And the last point I'll end on is this point, which I suppose Liam has put his course together to be able to cultivate this. And this is around generating general physical preparedness. What do I mean? It's like a jungle. If you want animals to live in a jungle, like beautiful animals and different species, you need to cultivate the wide variety of ecosystem for them to be able to come there and want to live there. Similarly, if we want tinnitus to no longer be in our space, perhaps we just need to cultivate an internal and external energy environment for it to no longer want to reside there. So whatever that means for us, and I'm sorry I can't be more specific than that, it's just a principle, general physical preparedness. How do we generate physical preparedness within inside of us to various degrees based on various physiologies that we all are, which is going to be so unique, never two people be the same. What does that mean for us to create that environment in ourselves that tinnitus no longer wants to be there? Is it more relaxed? Is it not looking? Is it not chasing? Is it dieting? Is it fasting? Is it blue light block, like the lot? What is it? Question. So yeah, that's me this week. I really find a sense of purpose in sharing. What I'm just going to be careful of is cultivating an identity around tinnitus, coming to my first point around searching, and just let the solution come and find me now, right? And I'm just, my coach sort of shared with me this idea of just be careful what you wish for. By talking and being involved in this conversation, you can subconsciously co-create an identity where this just stays in your life because now you have something to talk about. It's giving you another purpose to be and to share, right? And I'm very clear of my plans of a life without tinnitus. how I will continue to develop and serve others and help myself in general health. And I can see that. I can see how I'll be able to share some of my findings when it's no longer in my space in the same way I'm sharing now. So weekly updates is my intention. If they don't come out every week, then that's okay. Then maybe I'll start numbering them. So this is update number 2, and number 3 will be when it will be, which rhymes. So I must stick to that now. Because I don't want to get into this idea of like feeling pressured to do it, you know. Yeah, I mean, there is no pressure other than the pressure I put on myself. But I also don't want to create a home and identity for this to stay. I don't want to create I want to be physically prepared for this not to stay. Cultivate that environment. But I truly believe what I'm trying to do is also cultivate an environment where I can share. I can share what it is that I want to share. And that's something I want to hold on to. So there was lots more points which I had to talk about, and let me see if I can pick 1 or 2 more. Not really. Not really. There's a person called Ross Edgley who talks about general physical preparedness. He talks about that from an exercise point of view, around when you're off season, there's no point just not exercising. Just do something to stay physically prepared. So when the season comes, you're basically ready. And I think that's what Liam's trying to do for us, is like cultivate awareness in the body and preparedness in the body, so that when it's time, we're there. We can go, right? So yeah, anyway, I think that's it from me this week. Look after yourselves. I hope I look after myself. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. I'll say it again, actually. This will go. It will go. The body knows how to heal itself. I truly believe that. And maybe the lesson for this week is, what's the strategy for cultivating that healing itself? Is it I go and find it, or do I just let it heal itself and have trust and faith in my body, trust and faith in nature, trust and faith in something which no one has taught us how to trust and have faith in each other, in ourselves? How many times do people encourage us to have faith in ourselves, when we always feel like we're never good enough, so we never follow that path? But perhaps that's the only path that ever existed, and everything else is an illusion. Question. Anyway, take care, everyone. Until next time.